This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Madonna was singing about Conor O'Gara when she wrote this tune. I don't know if Conor was alive when Madonna sang it, but he was definitely the topic. Conor, how you doing today?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I don't think I was alive. I was born in 1990, so I want to rule that out.
I think that's an 87. I think that's a 1987 Madonna song.
Yeah. No. Okay. So we're good. So I wasn't even a thought on my parents' mind yet. But I will say, last night, for about the 25th time in my life, I was rewatching A League of Their Own. So Madonna in that movie, obviously, very pivotal role in that movie, provides the spunk, kind of rounds out some of the characters, in my opinion. Madonna's been fresh on the brain, so I would have it no other way.
Well, better Madonna than Rosie O'Donnell, so we can move on. I saw you at you had Drew Sanders on the SDS podcast recently. What was Drew talking about?
Yeah, great to be able to catch up with him, and somebody that I respect a lot. Kind of the way that he approached everything, embracing a new system, a new role in that system, and kind of showing you exactly why you need the transfer portal. I mean, I think a lot of people, if you just want to look at it from the Danny Cannell perspective and say that kids don't want to fight anymore for starting jobs, I'd say, well, look at Drew Sanders. I mean, his situation in Alabama, we talked about, how he was really starting to figure things out. A guy who had never really focused on one position was starting to really figure it out kind of as an edge guy. And then, boom, he gets hurt. Dallas Turner steps in, and Dallas Turner is, a star and maybe the second coming of Will Anderson in Alabama. And so the portal worked out extremely well for him. And so getting to talk about kind of that process and the fact that it took him 5 days, it was essentially Arkansas or going back to his home state of Texas. But, he loved what was presented to him in Arkansas. And that played out. And I know from a production standpoint, the way that it kind of finished out with the sack numbers, that you might look at his situation and say, he kind of fell off after that great start. But, man, I look at where that Arkansas defense could have been without him and how much trouble they could have been in some pretty key points. I just thought he was a great sign that Sam Pittman knows how to evaluate the portal, and a guy who became an All-American that I think every Arkansas fan was wishing they had more time with.
Yeah, I'm a big Drew Sanders guy. I think he's going to make a club very happy. How did where'd you get a sense of where he might go in the draft?
I think he's going to end up being like a second round type guy, like an early second round type guy.
I think he's a starter right away. I think wherever he goes, he's going to be just competing for a starting job.
I do too, and that's where I think he's going to be able to provide a lot of value early on, and that he will be one of those guys that we look up at the end of the first year, and we're like, wait a minute. So, he fell to the second round, and now he's starting and already looks like he's kind of ready for it. Yeah, I mean, that is something that I think is very much, on the table for him. And because I think he's got versatility. And while his coverage skills will still need to improve, because if you can't cover in this day and age in the NFL, it's kind of like, man, what are you doing? You need to be able to develop that. That's still a developing part of his game, but I think that his ability to be able to rush the pass from the inside, from the outside, wherever.
Could you see him like a TJ Watt? Do you remember TJ Watt, JJ's brother that played at Pittsburgh? Could you see him being that kind of role at the next level?
Yeah, I can see that. And I love TJ coming out of Wisconsin. Like he was one of those guys where I'm like, man, if he could just get to the right place, because I think that they really used him effectively his last year at Wisconsin. I remember watching him in the Big Ten championship there in Indianapolis. Yeah. Oh man, he was taking off. So he could be a type like that. He still needs to be able to develop those cover skills a little bit more, but man, his ability to pursue that is going to make him an immediate plug and play guy at the NFL level, even if he does end up falling to the second round.
I like how you point out. I mean, he's the ultimate evidence for why the transfer portal exists. For a player that views himself in one way, the current coaching staff views him in another way, and without that opportunity, maybe he wouldn't be up for the draft right now.
He might be a fourth or fifth rounder. Yeah, like he could get into camp and be good. But you're right, he was able to go out and put out tape, and now he's going to be the first linebacker taken. Yeah,
he would probably have to be, because he would still be at Bama if the portal didn't open up for undergrads. And, that was one of the things we talked about. He's very grateful that you can transfer as an undergrad because, he was 2 years in. But when you have a guy that's ahead of you in the depth chart that's a year younger than you, what is he supposed to just wait for him to go to the NFL? He would still be looking at a situation where, all right, maybe he, replaces Will Anderson or he's got to make that transition in Alabama. That's still not necessarily what they recruited him for. And instead, he gets to go into the portal, have a sit down with a defensive coordinator who can say, this is exactly how you're going to be used. And that's what these guys look for, man. Once they enter the portal, when they've been through the college process, these guys know kind of, what coach is sort of gassing them up and what coach is actually sitting them down saying, here is your exact role and why we need you. Boom, this is how you're going to impact the game. And that's exactly what he did. And I think Drew Sanders' impact is one that, look, if Arkansas gets somebody that good in the portal at any point here moving forward, I think that would be a massive win for St. Pittman.
Connor, I saw Auburn had their spring game this past Saturday or whatever passed for it because there was awful weather. Were there any other spring games or was it just Auburn?
NC State was in action. Vandy had one, but I don't think Vandy's was made to the public. I gotta look at our friend Matthew Loves Ball on YouTube and see the updated Vandy spring game. But I don't want to say. It's not stolen valor. I don't want to say I deserve a Purple Heart for watching that Auburn spring game in its entirety on a Saturday afternoon. But I deserve some credit because that was terrible. They completed 5 passes in a 60-minute running clock scrimmage, wherein it was raining the entire time, the entire game.
It sounds like Auburn last year minus the rain, though, Connor.
I mean, yeah. Look, that's but they wanted to throw. I mean, Hugh Freeze is talking about it in the pregame. He's saying, this is a bummer. We wanted to throw the football. We wanted to air it out because they got quarterback battle. They're trying to figure out if they need to go to the portal and do something. And, oh, gosh, there was, roughly 15 people in the stands, despite the fact they reported a paid attendance of 16,000 people.
It wasn't 16,000 people there. I doubt that. That's cute. No. That's a cute number to throw out there.
It's a good number.
Well, who's this week? We got Arkansas's got their red-white game this weekend. Anybody else?
I want to see the receivers, Arkansas. What they're doing with this new group of guys and how because KJ can distribute the ball.
Yeah, Connor. So if you're watching Arkansas spring game or you're going to watch the highlights from Matthew Loves Ball on YouTube, what are a couple of things that you're really zeroed in on for Arkansas?
I want to see how different the offense is. Are they going to be operating a little bit more with tempo? Design runs in a spring game. Yeah, they are kind of what they are. It's you're down by 2-hand touch. Guys aren't live, so it's a little bit difficult to kind of gauge that. But yeah, what does the passing game look like? Does it look like it's opened up a little bit more? Are they taking some of those downfield chances? Expectations kind of tempered. Arkansas is in a very different situation, but you want to see kind of that quarterback depth behind KJ, how comfortable these guys look, and really how comfortable he looks running the offense. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. I'm going to try and make sure that I can watch some version of it. Maybe I'll have to record it or something because I got to write off at the Georgia spring game this weekend. They do have a quarterback battle over there. That game not making ESPN's main airwaves, but Colorado's is. They're on ESPN2 with Georgia. So yeah, all of a lot. It's like everybody decided to play their spring game this weekend because the transfer portal window got moved up, and it opens this weekend, April 15th, and it runs through the 30th. So that I think is going to push up all of these spring games. Everybody's going to want to get them finished so that they can make the proper evaluations and also make sure that they don't have a bunch of their guys entering the portal as well.
Now, wait a minute. Did I hear you right? ESPN or one of the networks is airing over regular television. They're airing the Colorado spring game because it's Dion and not the national champions, the two-time national champions. They're not airing that spring. I don't care. Spring game. This is just an interesting window into why you would air one game over another.
You are correct. Yes, that is an interesting decision, but a decision that, when you kind of think about it, it makes sense. I think that spring games are pretty much a run-of-the-mill. Not a lot of people leave a spring game feeling very excited. It's more so about kind of vibes and what you feel like you have working for your program. And the expectation is that whatever Dion does right now is must-see TV. I realize, though, as I said that, Kirby is totally going to use that as the the rat poison for Georgia. This is going to be the motivation, much like how Nolan Smith came on the SDS podcast airwaves and said he made up 7-5, and he made up that entire thing. Kirby's going to use this and say, they showed Colorado ahead of y'all. Nobody believes in Georgia football this year.
I saw that when you tweeted it. I had to laugh about it. Matt, did you see that? I mean, there's all these kids that were, and Nolan Smith was one of them that's they predicted us to go to what was the record that he said? But it obviously wasn't even. It was barely
7-5.
7-5. Yeah, they all say we're going to go 7-5. I remember thinking, nobody said you were going 7-5. Give me a break here.
I liked it when the Fad Five, after they won and they were going to the championship, and they're like, we get to beat Cosby, and Coach Fisher was like, yeah, they're not going to get to meet Bill Cosby.
That's hilarious, man. that's just really, really funny. Hey, and I also noticed too. So you've got. Grant Morgan is starting his coaching career with Illinois, with Brett Bielema.
Good for him, man. Yeah, he's a Brett. They're guys. They're boys. Yeah,
and I know he was going to go to pre-meds. He was going to go to medical school, but I think Grant Morgan would be a great football coach.
Yes. He was a stud.
That makes a ton of sense too. I mean, he already was the adult in the room. But think of how many different schemes that guy has had to learn over the course of his career, and how many different things he's probably had to teach himself defensively. He's a natural leader of men. That is going to be such an obvious transition for him to be able to make, and getting to work with Brett Bielema, who obviously, those two know each other very well, made the decision that, he wanted to ultimately play for Bielema, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know how that works out with his NIL deal, if the free house for life thing, if that lines up, or if that's just in the state of Arkansas or what, but excited for Grant Morgan, expect to be talking about him as a future SEC defensive coordinator within a matter of years.
Yeah, there's a couple of Arkansas guys with Barry Lunny staying there as their OC, so they got a couple connected Arkansas guys there.
Yeah, I mean, Grant going to a place with familiar surroundings. My only kind of bummer was so that means his playing career is over. I mean, that's just that's kind of unfortunate for somebody who had obviously those 2 great years and was such a key part of being able to rebuild the Arkansas program after the ruins that Chad Morris left it in. But seeing his playing career come to an end and not necessarily seeing him be able to have a long NFL career, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it does seem like he is somebody that has a purpose and a passion for being able to coach and to mold young men. It just seems like such an obvious fit for him.
Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.